Mind Balance Hypnosis.
Hi, Cliff. As always, I have more burning questions for you, but this time it has to do with past life regression.
Okay, sounds
So,
good.
yes, would you, for everyone who's watching, can you let everyone know what past life regression is?
Sure. Past life regression. People always thought that it was maybe a fantasy and everything like that. But what past life regression actually is that our consciousness actually is more expansive than what we actually think it is at this moment. And so we actually have lived many, many lives. And all the information and all the memories from those lives are what I like to call a database. And so they're free access um, available to you to see all the actions that you took, all the how it affects your present life, and all that stuff. So basically, what past life regression is that I just take you back into your database to see who you actually were. And all these memories are actually yours. So why not? Right?
Yeah. No, and so with that being said, with our database, how many past lives can we have?
I don't really know.
Is there a limit?
I doubt it. Maybe we could be little fish crawling out of the ocean or something. Who knows? I don't have no idea.
Yeah. Well, and so then with that, how can it help people? Because I know you have helped me with mine, but we'll get to my story in a bit. How can going through past life regression, how can that help other people?
Well, if you look at your existence as maybe we think of it now, you know, birth and death, and that's it. You know, you can go, we are collectors of information from the moment we are born to the day that we die, and they affect who we are, and in positive ways and negative ways. And so people go to therapy, like talk therapy, and they get to talk about things that are bothering them and everything, and try to find out where things originated from. And sometimes they can't find where it originated from. And so they try to mask it over, and, you know, try to settle it down a little bit in their lives. But what I've discovered is that because we are beyond the birth and beyond the death, that we exist way beyond that, and we have this gigantic database, that let's say we had something happen to us in a past life, it actually can filter into your present life. And I have a lot of examples from clients and volunteers who have talked about things that happened in their past lives that actually affected their present life. And when they went to the sessions, they had no idea what they were going to find. Some of them didn't even believe in past lives, but they wanted to try it anyway. And then suddenly they were amazed to find out, wait a second, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. So, so by going into the past, you can work through what happened in the past, and then you can close it off and leave it in the past so that it doesn't affect your present. And it's almost like talk therapy in a very expanded way, to where, you know, we try to find the problem in talk therapy, seal it off, learn how to respond differently to it. But if you go into a past life regression, you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it where it originated.
Which is so interesting how that can happen. Like
Definitely.
for me, when we went through the checklist of what I wanted to know, and when we were going through, and I was in all these different time frames of my past lives, and when we went to find out when I first had epilepsy, this was back in World War II. And so it has been a long time since then. And so it's interesting to find out what has brought you to kind of where you are today. And I do have a question. I know my husband, Matt, he had asked me this, and he was wondering because he was listening to when I had my past life done, can you get stuck in a past life regression, or can you get stuck in
No.
this time?
Nope. And you can't
No,
get stuck in hypnosis or any of that.
or any of that?
No.
Yeah. And how are you able to help everyone slowly? I know the answer to this, but for everyone else, how are you able to help people with anxiety through these times, like when they're in their past life?
Oh, while they're in their past life.
Yeah.
I watch the clients very closely. And when I see, like for clients that have emotional history in past lives, and you can see the reaction, people crying, people shaking, different things that may tell me that they are in a emotional state of watching something, feeling something. I remind them that they can be just observers. This happened in the past. They don't have to re-experience everything about it. They can just be observers, back out, and be able to tell me what they're watching. And so that calms them down because you don't have to totally experience all the overwhelming emotions if it's too much for you. But in some cases, it actually is good to go through those emotions, deal with them, close them off, leave them in the past. But the choice, the options are based upon watching how the clients react. And then I'll either back them off or I'll say, okay, just a little longer. So each individual is different.
Yeah. I know you had to let me know quite a few times to back off when there was one scenario. I just had to really back off because I got so like emotional with
Right.
it. So yeah, it's great that you're able to like guide us and help everyone, because the entire time I felt safe when I was doing it.
Good.
I wasn't panicking or anything like that. So I don't want anyone to think that we're in like a trance or
Right.
yeah, because it's very interesting. So
And,
how that works.
and also, it's very important that anybody trying to do a past life regression for you knows what they're doing.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you can do it reading a book, but at the same time, you just don't know where your clients are going to go. And so you need to be ready. And it's not that it's dangerous or anything like this, but you need to be able to help the client back off and go, okay, now just relax. Now let's move here, let's move there. Because basically, what we're doing is you're going back and you're telling a story about what you see in your database history. And so we're visualizing this. You're seeing it, hearing it, or feeling it. And I'm visualizing what you're telling me. Okay. And then I decide along with you, where should we go next? What should we do? Should we back her off? Let's move 5 years forward and see what happens after this. You know, it's
Yeah.
quite interesting.
And it is interesting that you can go 5 years ahead or 10 years ahead,
You can go
or let's go back.
backwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is really interesting. And I know Matt had a question about that too, because he said, how were you able to just go forward 10 years? And I said, I just did.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it was it was just a new time of my life, and it was easy. I was just there.
Well, imagine it as watching a movie. You can fast forward, you can go back, you can even pause it.
I was just going to say, we can pause it.
It's the same thing. And so, especially since you've already lived that life, everything's right there. And as you know, I take people to the very last day of their life, and we can find out what they're dying from and what lessons they had to learn from that life. And it's very interesting to have the person actually be able to put their finger on exactly what the lesson was and how they felt about their life. It's an eye-opening
Yeah.
experience.
Which, yeah. I love everything about it. And I just I have another question that a lot of people have asked, and I know I have asked you this, is what do birthmarks mean? Do they mean anything with a past life?
Well, what I've discovered is that some people will have birthmarks because of something that happened in the past. I've had a few clients and volunteers who had certain marks somewhere, and when they went back into a past life, they discovered they were shot there, or maybe they were injured somehow and everything. And then when they came out, they said, "Oh, wait, I have a birthmark right there." And so it correlates with it.
Which is so,
Yeah.
it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And uh yeah, it is,
Well,
it's very
let's
fascinating.
talk about your family. Your family has the same birthmark in the same spot, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
we are going to try another past life regression to find out why.
I know. And I'm very, very interested in that. And when we talked about, and I'm finding it's been a week since we
Mhm.
have done the past life. And I know one of my like biggest fears is or was like death. And I don't know why. And I don't know if it's because I've had a lot throughout my life. And so it's nice to know that, hope I'm not making a spoiler for anyone, but when I died in one of my past lives, how I saw my body.
Mhm.
Like I was up and I could see my body and I wasn't in pain. Any of the times that I died, I wasn't in pain, even though the one time I won't describe what happened, but that one I wasn't in pain, but I learned my lesson.
Mhm.
Uh, Another one, I was in the hospital. What I was feeling was just complete sadness because I would never see my family again. But now knowing that that person in that life is actually my husband now, it's so, it's like heartwarming to
Mhm.
know that you do come back in touch. And I saw my brother like in one of my past lives, and it's just, you come back to those people. You were in my past life, you married Matt and I, and it's just, I feel better about, I guess, just everything in general, life and death. I feel
Right.
better. There's more clarity. Like we do live on. When I was a little girl, I always believed that. But now it's just, I have seen what happens. Like
And
it's
that's
just
and that's one
fascinating.
of the big benefits of past life regression also is that it gets rid of that fear of death. And suddenly you learn the lesson, wait a second, I still exist. I always
Yeah.
like to tell people it's kind of like a little field trip. You're just going along and your life is learning things and all this. And then when you're done, you just move on to another one and everything. You just collect information and you learn. you know. And with past life regressions, I also take people to the point just before they're born into their present life, and I ask them, what are your goals in this life that you're living now? And it's interesting what people tell me. And
Yeah.
it actually resets their vision about, oh yeah, that's what I need to focus on again.
And it's just it's phenomenal. And I know I will tell everyone this part of one of the past life regressions that I had. Cliff actually had me, so I have epilepsy, and so did the me back in World War II, had epilepsy as well. And I was able to like turn, I guess it would be myself, around when I was little, and right before I died, I was able to like give myself a hug, and you helped me talk to my past self and say like everything is going to be okay. I love you, and I will carry on the message and help impact people who have epilepsy. And so it's just that was all real. Like I know I was crying because like I I was I don't know if I was crying because I was sad for little 6-year-old Michelle. Like I don't know what my name was at the time, but I was 6, and here's this little person that's going to be killed, and I'm giving my past me a big hug, and then that was it.
Yep.
But yeah,
And what did you find out was the purpose on why you had epilepsy now?
I need to carry out so that past life me was a disgrace to the family and wanted to let more people know about epilepsy and like release the stigma. And so then that's why I have it now, because I have a platform where I can help tell more people about epilepsy, get the word out, and just inform everyone and do what past life Michelle wanted to do. And so I'm happy that I can do that.
And what we did was the fact that you've discovered the purpose, we set it up so that you don't really need to have epilepsy in this life any longer because you now know what the message is and the purpose for you having it. So we worked to keep the epilepsy with a little girl in the past.
Yeah.
So that's what we worked on, which would be amazing, right?
It's just it's so fascinating. And I've always known I've had epilepsy. I've always
Mhm.
believed I have epilepsy for a reason. I have it for a reason. And this is why.
Right.
Like this is
And I
why.
also I also want to say that I don't tell you where to go, what to see, or what to do, or anything like this. You're the one experiencing it, and you're telling me what you're seeing. And
Yeah.
that's what's really amazing about it, because I then on my end visualize and go through the little movie with you, you
Well,
know?
and even when I know you were trying to help me find the time frame,
Mhm.
like, so what do you see around you? What? And I said that I was in a drive-in movie theater, and I was describing it all to you, and then
You
you
just
asked
go
me what kind of, pardon?
ahead. Go ahead.
You asked me what kind of cars they were, and I said, I don't know, I'm not a car girl, but I am a show or a shoes girl or something like that. So
And
it's
then what
funny
did I
because,
tell you? And what did I tell you?
oh, I forget.
I said, well, then don't look at the cars, look at the shoes.
Oh
Tell
yeah,
me
look
what
at
kind
the
of
shoes.
shoes you're wearing. And they were like, and your dress was poofy. So I went, oh, that's out of the 1950s, you know?
Yeah. And so it's just it's all of it. If I want people to take something away, it's just if you it's just, this opens up so many doors and answers so many questions. Why do you do what you do? And why, like, I feel so much better about life and death, which
Hmm.
I never thought I would say. Like, I am terrified of it, but now I feel better.
Yep.
As much as that sounds funny, or not funny, but it sounds not something that you probably hear all every day,
Nope.
but that's how I feel.
You discover that your consciousness continues to exist, and it
Yeah.
just continues in all directions and everything. And once you really realize it, once you really experience it like you did, you suddenly lose that whole fear of death. I have no fear of death. And
Yeah.
this is the funny thing, when I drive by and I see a funeral, I feel sad for the family, but at the same time going, wow, can you just imagine what that person's experiencing right at this moment? You know, going,
Yeah.
wait a second, I'm still alive, and all this. It's just,
Well,
it's amazing.
yeah. And it's just, I think everyone should try it. And like, it's just, it will open up your eyes to so much, and just go in with an open mind. Like, I
Mhm.
wasn't expecting anything. Like, I went
Right.
in with an open mind. Yes, I wanted to check off some boxes, but say I couldn't find past life Michelle who had epilepsy or some neurological disorder, I I just wanted to experience it. And I know Matt is very scientific. Like,
Yes.
he likes the scientific part of it. And after him hearing, he's like, I need to try this. I like, his mind was just blown. And
Yep.
it's just fantastic.
Right. And the funny thing about it is that majority of the people that I've done past lives on, they don't end up being famous people or anything. They're just normal people that live normal lives. There's a few that are royalty here or there, but they just live normal lives.
Yeah. A princess, an
That,
Egyptian princess.
I
Yep.
know. Or the
Yes.
other funny thing I was telling you and Matt about, when the men come out of it and they go, I was a woman and I just gave birth to all these children. you know, you should see the look on their faces, but it just shows that you are both sexes. And I've had people come back different races and living in different countries, speaking different languages. It just shows you the whole expanded reality of who we really truly are.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that someday therapy will include it, because if your issues go way, way back, you got to go way, way back to solve them.
Yep. Exactly.
So that's the
And
long version of your short question.
yes. Hey, but I don't mind. I don't mind.
I don't
Well,
mind either.
yeah. Well, you know what? We will close there,
Okay.
because I will have more burning questions for you.
Oh, yeah, I
And
love it.
in an hour, I will just be thinking of more questions. So thank you so much, Cliff, for answering my questions as well as everyone in the public.
You know what we might do in the future is you should have Matt come on and ask questions also.
Yes. Yes. That would be perfect.
Let's try to answer that, analytical mind of his.
Yeah, we can. See what he
Okay.
says.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for the questions.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for answering them.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.